कुछ पत्तियां और मैं, बहुत दूर एक चांद है और मैं, तेरी सी रोशनी है और मैं. Okay, hi, I'm Anil. I'm a PhD student in the University of Lorraine in France. I'm working on experimental plasma physics. My work is on the measurement of heat flux, which is received by an RF antenna. So this has applications in both nuclear fusion physics as well as in material processing. Uh, when I say nuclear fusion physics, RF antenna is one of the auxiliary heating systems in systems like tokamak, where the nuclear fusion takes place. So these RF antennas are in contact with plasma once the plasma is ignited. So the plasma interaction with the antenna can create impurities to the system, and which can eventually mitigate the fusion. Hence, the heat flux studies to the system, to the antenna, and the impurity creation has a vital importance. And we want to study the conditions at which the heat flux received by the antenna is very minimum, and there are some conditions at which the heat flux is maximum, which can be utilized as for the material processing techniques and some deposition techniques as well. So my topic is really interesting. It has applications in both it has a wide variety of applications. And my interest in plasma physics grew when I was in the first year of my masters. I was doing my internship at University of Goa with my brother. I was working on nanomaterials, persistent luminescence nanomaterials. So when I was in masters, I was very much confused as everyone else. Like I couldn't see my future back then, but I don't know. During this internship period, I take an online course on edx.org, and I learned about plasma physics. And at that moment, I felt like, okay, it's the future. Like the world needs a green way of energy, which is more sustainable and much more safe. The nuclear fission has some disadvantages, the nuclear waste, vagera, vagera. So we need a safer way of energy. And the whole thing was really interesting. The plasma physics is the idea begins from the stars, and the 95%, not 95, 99 percentage of the whole universe is plasma. So I was really interested in this topic. Once I went through the course, I wanted to do my master's thesis on plasma physics, but unfortunately I couldn't get through it. So after my master's, with the help of my professor, Dr. V.K. Deshpande, I get into IPR, which is one of the prestigious institutes in India, where the nuclear fusion research or the plasma physics research takes place. So once I got into IPR, with the help of Dr. Shishir Deshpande, he directed me to work on an experimental device called Robin, which is also an RF plasma device, which is used for generation of negative negative hydrogen ions, and extraction of negative hydrogen ions. Basically, the whole purpose of the experiment is to create a neutral beam, and which is again one of the auxiliary heating system, like as I mentioned earlier, the RF antenna. So it's like one of the another auxiliary heating systems in tokamak. So that was a really nice time. Like I was discussing with researchers, I was having discussions with the PhD students. It was very open. Maybe that's the point where I realized, okay, I have to do research in my life. And I don't know, everyone was very welcoming. I could have ask if I have any doubt at any moment. Everyone was open for discussions. Maybe I explored a lot, like how the research is happening, how's the research life. It was from IPR. So especially my colleagues, not my colleagues, my I can say kind of an instructor or a guide. Arun Pandey, he is working in IPP Max Planck now, and Dr. Mainak, he was also, I think, these people was one of the turning point in my life. With they were directing me very well, and I could pull off some uh, really interesting work back then. So I almost did around 4 to 5 months of internship in IPR. So, but it was a very direct decision because I was not getting paid, but I was willing to work because I was following my dream basically. It was my, it was my dream to work on plasma physics. I don't know how I felt that, but I was just following my instincts. And my friends were like, one of my friend called Jitin, he was always backing me up regarding this. So I finished my internship in IPR in 2019 December. So and when I came back home, yeah, obviously I was jobless. But I had some plans. I was planning to extend this work. So even though I was planning some experimental work, I was basically doing some analytical modeling stuff of about Robin, about the RF power coupling and all. So I explored a little bit more about this topic back then, after I'm coming back to home. And unfortunately the COVID-19 struck, and from March it started the lockdown. So the pressure was very high. I still have any, PhD positions. And once I was really confused how to move ahead in future, whether I should focus on exams like net JRF in India, or should I go for abroad. And the main challenges was in going abroad was, I didn't had any publications at that moment. At the same time, I didn't appear for any conferences, and I don't have any, English proficiency results or something like IELTS or those kind of exams. I didn't appear for any of these exams. But at that moment, my teacher, like as I mentioned, Mainak sir and Arun Pandey, they keep me motivated, and my friend Jitin was always backing me up. uh, so they always made me positive with their unconditional support. I think I was keep on applying for positions. And yeah, then I got a call from, not I received a mail from Dr. Frederick Bosha. He's my teacher now, he's my supervisor here. So he said, so I applied for this position, as I mentioned in the beginning. And yeah, I found it interesting. We have collaborators like EPFL and University of Basel. So I was really happy. And the interview happened in May. So by June, I was very stable. I got a PhD positions in France, University of Lorraine in Nancy, and I was really excited. So that's how I get into my PhD here. So I'm currently in my first year. Obviously, as in the beginning, I thought the topic is very easy, but it's always there is a challenge. Plasma physics is not a simple thing. Everything is complex. The particle interactions is complex. So it's very hard. Especially, I'm dealing with an RF plasma device, and which is magnetized. So I'm getting to too technical now, but I'm just saying it's very complicated. But at this moment, like, we are hopeful. We will. I hope by end of the third year, we will have a good thesis. We will have a great results, which can be valuable inputs for the fusion physics as well as the material science or material deposition, the plasma processing industries. So yeah, I'm very interested. Currently, I'm also collaborating with IPP Prague regarding some measurements in jet tokamak, and it was a very wonderful experience. Yes, yes, one of my teacher in IPB Prague, Rijan Horacek. He also is a wonderful human being. So I, it's my, I think it's one of my privilege to work with him. So yeah, that's my scientific career, But what I want to summarize, no, not summarize, maybe conclude from my these last 3 or 4 years, I know I was struggling once upon a time, like from 2016. I was not sure what should I do in my future. I was very confused. Yeah, I was just lost. But I don't know. Maybe I took right decisions on the right time, and there were right people around me. So, and they gave me that courage to move ahead in my life. So yeah, I value my those relations with my teachers, with my friends. I don't know. I believe in conversations. I believe in discussions, and what I learned in all this, like my small research career, is the communication plays an important role. The discussion plays an important role, even though it's maybe some random discussions, but you know the ideas, the communications, without any flows or open discussions, without being prejudiced or something, it's really valuable, and it's gonna be a good asset in future. So I'm pretty happy at this moment about my research and my where I am right now. So yeah. So when I look back into my life, I born in a small village called Kuchanad. It's in Kerala. Uh, so I studied in a government school. Uh, I don't know. I have some interest in music when I was a child, uh, but I don't know, with time, maybe during the time of high school, I was literally so I was practicing Carnatic music, and for around 5 years, and by the end of the fifth year I was like, come on, I'm bored with this, and I tried to, I really wanted to quit. And even though I was participating in some fests, some school fests at that moment, after my high schools, during my 11th and 12th year of school, uh, I don't know, I lost in touch with those kind of things. It was really hard. But once I get into my graduation, it was in Kerala Orma College, Thrissur. uh, I had really nice friends. So again, I started about thinking about my music. We were during some interval time, or when we gather together, we will perform some small percussions. Made a small band, even though I was very terrible at singing. But yeah, it was a really nice time. And then after that, I came into NIT for my VNIT Nagpur for my masters, and that was a really great time. I started playing badminton there. There were a good friends, a group of friends were like, every morning we played badminton, and by the end of the my masters, we made a small band. Every day we were performing, not performing, we are jamming, we are singing together, and we had a small couple of performances within the institute. So it was a really nice time. And one of my friend, I already mentioned about Jitin. He got into to University of Detmold. It's a music university. He got a prestigious Marie Curie fellowship. So once he got his first salary, he asked me, what you want. So I asked him to buy me a ukulele. So I think that was a one of the biggest turning point. I was in love with that instrument. The sound is so cute, and it was so refreshing. So after every day, like coming back from IPR, that the time where I'm doing my internship at IPR. So I used to play this for 15 or half an hour, 15 minutes or half an hour. Then I was completely refreshed, and I had really some good friends in IPR, so we were used to sing, and yeah, we were having fun at that moment. And I got some opportunity to play badminton uh, with some of my friends in IPR. So I was continuing my, both singing and badminton. When I came to Nosy, I bought my ukulele, and it was also just for fun. And here also, the one thing, I think one thing that remains constant in my life for a long time, I think one is Jitin, my friend, and second is, uh, uh, this music, and third is badminton. And during the time of VNIT, had some interest in photography, because my friends from graduation, like Jitin, Hari Krishnan, he is also a still photographer in movies now, and everyone takes photos. So basically, I was the worst photographer back then, but I don't know, with time I knew, I learned something from them, I guess. So once I was in VNIT, I started some clicking some pictures, and making some, like, and I like to, as I mentioned earlier, I like in conversations, I really like to tell stories. So I used to tell stories with one of my best friend, Nida. So once she proposed, like, what about, you take pictures and we write stories about them. So she was a wonderful writer. She write amazing poems. So then we started a collaboration called The Stranger's Story. I take photos, and maybe I come with some idea, or she comes up with some idea, and we, uh, or the real incident what behind the photo, it's been, written as a poem, and so we posted on Instagram. And once I came back to Nosy, actually we were continuing the same from VNIT. We did, I think, around 15 poems or something. I'm not every poems didn't post in Instagram. So uh, in last May, like 2021 May, suddenly an idea struck, and I wrote some lyrics, and I felt like, okay, I can make it as a song. Then I tuned it, so I really like that song, so I sent to a couple of my friends so they also really liked it. And so then we decided, like, okay, we will record it. So the recording process is not completed yet. The plan was to shoot some stories, and yeah. So in Nosy also, I think, I have some troubles with meeting new people, starting conversation with new people, but my friend circle in Nosy is very limited, but still I managed to, I have really some nice friends here. So they also really encourage me in doing, and I play, as I mentioned, I play badminton here. I pursue my passion. It's like music is one of my passions. So I write lyrics now. I tune some lyrics. I almost kind of composed 5 songs right now. So, and there is always the constant encouragement from my friends, from my Jitin, Nita, and here in Nosy I have Kripali, Shoaib. So they were really encouraging me, and to follow my, these kind of extracurricular activities, I can say. So yeah. So one of my, I don't know, it's a wild dream. My dream is to perform in Nosy Jazz Music Festival. I don't speak French very well. I'm started understanding it now. So it's kind of cool. And maybe I don't know, by end of third year, I think once I can perform in Nosy Jazz Music Festival, and I will be I will have a very good friend circle here. I also would like to, expand my music, maybe some collaboration, making a small band, or I don't know, maybe I'm sure some music enthusiasts will be here, looking for some other collaborations here. So maybe I would like to collaborate. I don't know. So just one thing I did in my life is, I just followed my thoughts. I believed in my thoughts. Uh, so yeah, the one thing I have to say is, just believe in yourself and communicate very well. Try to be open with everything. Try to be genuine. So that's what I did in my life. So this is what I have all to say. Thank you.
अब सही आ रहा है.
Yeah, start. Okay. So I didn't speak about my teachers, my supervisors here. So my main supervisor is Dr. Frederick Posha. He was the team head of the team 107, the whole plasma physics group in Institut Jean Lamour, where I work. So we have a nice campus over there, and my co-supervisor is Eric Fudo. So he basically, my work is more related to Eric's work. So we interact much more each other than meeting with Frederick Bosha. So I think those people are the coolest people I ever met in my life. I didn't feel like you know someone who are disconnected. We are very much connected. I can speak very frankly. I can share my opinion. I can share my feelings, expressions. They are very open to it. So those are the people, maybe the wonderful human being I ever seen in my life. I'm really happy, such a cool guys to have my supervisors for my PhD thesis. Maybe I might be giving some hard time. I was being some lazy in some interval of time, but you know they are not giving me a lot of pressure, but they are still pushing me in a positive way to explore a new field, especially giving me more opportunity to explore more about the plasma physics. And like especially Dr. Bosha got a lot of connections in the plasma physics community. He's the scientific advisor of one of the very interesting project called Renaissance Fusion. It's just a nuclear fusion accelerator project which is happening in France. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of exposure from here, and I have a wonderful colleague. So we discuss a lot. It's a blast. It's just really fun to work in the lab. Uh, yeah, so I can't complete my this session without saying thank to them to be in my life, like as a teacher, as a friend. So yeah, I think I'm kind of lucky person here.